Hello, universe. Hello, Milky Way galaxy. Hello, everybody out there in whichever realm you might happen to reside in at the moment. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. They haven't just failed you. They're doing what they're supposed to do, which is deliver bullshit, deliver propaganda. But in a day and age where we have zero interest in learning what they want us to think. We just want to know who, what, where, when, why, how. Just the facts, Jack. Just the facts, Jack. And here at the New American Media, we think we have a pretty good batting average, bringing you information and going on scene to tell you what's happening out in the world. We've been covering situations like January 6th. We were out at the Bundy Ranch in Nevada. We were out at Occupy LA. We were out at the 2016 DNC and RNC. We've been all sorts of places, Blake. What are we leaving off? Politicon, Conscious Life Expo, NAMM shows, all the music conventions.
Yeah.
We go a lot of places to just kind of get a feel for what is happening in the world. It's one thing to just be a constant consumer of data, actually go to these places and put your finger on the pulse and talk to the people. That's what we did yesterday. Blake and I went to the Nashville event. You can see in the background there on Blake's screen, Kennedy Shanahan. Shanahan coming with $8 million and jokes yesterday. We'll get into how the night unfolded in just a moment, but yeah, went to go see the energy and enthusiasm at the Ryman Auditorium. Lots of them telling stories about how the Ryman, just the history of the place. Elvis Presley performing there and all the legends who have graced the Ryman Auditorium stage. Truly a historic venue. So, Blake, thanks for joining us today. Why was it important to you that we go to this thing? I know you had initially signed up, and in classic Brian Engelman fashion, I'm interested in things, but I wait forever and I don't commit to things. And, last second, sometimes I say, yes, let's do that thing. And you're like, it's like in 4 hours. I'm like, I know, but there we are. Why was it important to you to attend this event? It was a few hours away from where you live. It wasn't incredibly inconvenient, but it wasn't right down the road. Why did you feel it was important?
Well, I think it's a historical event. It's 2024. It's an election season. Yeah, it's good to it's fun being a keyboard warrior and covering news and stuff like that. But it's also good to actually go into the field and these press events. So representing new media or the New American Media or what have you. So I'm glad you could make it. Yes, I heard about this event and I was like, wow, this is a huge lineup that they have going. Oh, yeah. So it's not just RFK and Nicole Shanahan showing up for like a campaign speech. They actually had big time comedians, Russell Brand and Jim Brewer, who am I missing? Rob Schneider, Dave Landau. I mean, there was some big names. I mean, everybody was good. So yeah, it was like this crazy, cool event. So it was like, yeah, we got to go make it a trip. It's a reasonable distance. It's worth the effort. So I think that all worked out pretty well. So thanks to the RFK press team for having us, accepting us, and and bringing us there. And we got to make a little bit of coverage. So we'll definitely cover what we did. Yeah,
just to get the overall vibe of what was going on. The lineup was quite impressive. I'll run down the full list of that. I mean, Blake touched on a couple of headliners, but the list kept going. There were a lot of talented performers. I mean, you saw Russell Brand sitting on the stage, like he commanded that he just owned the theater. These are people that perform for a living, and it's obvious that these are professionals at the peak of their craft. Speaking of individuals at the peak of their craft, make sure you're following Blake Walley on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley and thenextlevelnews.com. If you would like to assist Blake in his journalistic endeavors, shoot him some cash on Cash App. That's money sign. What do you call that? Money sign? Blake W99. Is that how you say it? Money sign?
Yeah, I
Sign?
guess so. Yeah, I think it's every Cash App address has that $sign attached to it, I believe. So yeah, it's a different world because it used to be PayPal, but PayPal turned really evil and had to get out of that. So
Or maybe
yeah,
they
Cash App.
always were evil, and now they're just, it's what they say about what we've seen with Biden over the past couple of years. Are these people this insane in this current Democrat Party? People like to say, "Oh, I'm a JFK Democrat." How many times have you heard that? Well, my family, we're JFK Democrats, and you could kind of say we're Clinton Democrats. Clinton Democrats are essentially Republicans. You listen to them speak, you're like, these are kind of the same talking points. But when Obama came in, everything went upside down. The pure gaslighting, the 2 + 2 = 5. Boys are girls, girls are boys. Like literally nothing that is anymore with Biden, Obama pushing this. And it's like, Have they always been this off their rocker, or is it just that it's being exposed more right now? And there is a sentiment that I do kind of at least partially concur with. They just got cocky. They're like, we just got rid of Trump somehow. We were able to nudge him out somehow. We can talk about all the shady things that allegedly happened in 2020 if we want to have this video pulled from YouTube, Google, and Facebook, Instagram, Meta, because they're convinced there was no shenanigans in the 2020 election. I find that
most safe and secure
laughable.
election ever.
Yeah, the most free and fair election. Yeah, they love their insurrection, free and fair election. Yeah, collusion, Russian collusion, Putin puppet. It's like they just, you wind them up and they just they just vomit talking points. Have the Democrats always been this bad, or did they just get so cocky thinking we run this town? Let's let our freak flag fly. Like, let's just let all of what we really believe finally come out. Do you think there's some of that, or do you just think the crazy wing of the Democrat Party has veered them into the ESG, SJW, DEI, nonsensical, bizarro world of politics that we're seeing today?
Yeah, I see that they've changed quite a bit. And, I could almost consider myself a JFK Democrat. I would be, in that lifelong liberal camp, sort of a classic liberal, libertarian, Green Party, all of those different things. But no, by today's standards, JFK would be a right-wing extremist. So, yes, the party has become very radicalized. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very collectivist wing, say communist. I don't know what's going on, but they are not the same party that they were even 20 years ago. I don't think that I'm that much different than I was, say, in 2004. But I mean, the Democrat Party is totally different. I don't recognize it anymore, and it's refreshing to see RFK Jr. come out and run. And kind of represent the classic liberalism. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to look at. I mean, if we had to put positive, productive, successful, empowering strategies that have been employed by the Democrat Party and Joe Biden, there's not very much at the top of that list that you could say, I do fully support this policy. Hey, they're doing a really good job here. Blake, there's almost nowhere that we can say that. In the party of Democrats that are doing almost universally, as judged by, go into any room and ask 100 people, like, we all see it, we all feel it. Are they doing anything right in that party? They wanted to put Joe Biden up instead of try to go with someone like an RFK Jr. Then instead of going with somebody else. I mean, this is a guy that should age out of the position. Normal circumstances aside, no particular specific disparaging remarks about Joe Biden needed for this particular point, although they'd be super easy to make. In theory, he should be done at this term, and they should be putting something fresh in, something different. But they're not. And it's a little terrifying. Like, hold on. Are they saying that the fix is in again? They're going to run this brain-dead marionette puppet, this child-sniffing, child-showering, daughter-showering, alleged money laundering, sack of bones, this wilted bag of meat attached to puppet strings with Soros, Obama, and all the other worst people pushing globalist agendas to ruin freedom and liberty across the planet. It's just interesting that there was not even really an opportunity for a Kennedy to kind of poke his head into the Democrat Party. It's just they want their silent in Biden reading scorecards. Pause for applause. Walks off stage, right. Hold on, I did what now? I mean, it's just Saturday Night Live couldn't show you a more inept presidential figure than what we have in front of us. And there's no room for a Kennedy to take that party over. I find it really strange.
Well, speaking of Saturday Night Live, I think Jim Brewer did some pretty good impersonations of Joe Biden. Yeah, fumbling around like he's lost, trying to get off his stage. He has no idea what's happening. Yeah, it's amazing that the Democrats. This is the best the Democrats can do. Is another Joe Biden term after he's already been fading. They've been struggling just to prop him up the first few years, and I don't know how they're going to do it again. And then they've got Kamala, who's even less popular than Joe. They really kind of got I don't know, something happened within. They should have had like Hillary run during 2008, and then maybe they'd have Barack Obama, who was like a legitimate rock star. Obama and Bill Clinton were unbelievable at their job. Very, just the great charismatic leaders that they were, but now they're completely out of talent, and they're so radicalized now that it's hard to relate with them. So
right, yeah, it's a strange party, and we will hopefully be putting together a man on the street segment, Lord willing, if the footage comes out okay. But one of the things, a surprise question that Blake was like, oh, I did like that question. We asked a question at the end of our man on the street segments. They were really brief interactions with people trying to grab their seats before the show started. But it was kind of like, if you're in charge of a reality show, a game show, a sitcom, like whatever it is you want to call it, a Survivor type show for the 2024 election, there's 3 political candidates on the island with the potential to be Donald Trump, Joe Biden, RFK Jr. Who would you command? Obviously, we did not expect to hear RFK Jr. getting kicked off the island. Obviously, at an RFK Jr. event, that was the least likely thing you would expect to hear. We did not hear a singular vote for Donald Trump. The rage and disgust for this Joe Biden character was incredibly palpable, Blake. I think there's something that could be said for whoever happens to be the incumbent. That really becomes the focus, where you draw back on your arrow and let loose, aiming for the bullseye. Figurehead leader tends to take more of those attacks because it's a recency bias. Well, they're the one that's in there now and all this bad stuff happening. I blame them. But I mean, not a single person said, oh, Donald Trump, I'd kick him off. I'm so sick. That guy. I think in hindsight, comparing Donald Trump to Joe Biden, it's not even a comparison. In 2020, it was like, oh my gosh, COVID, you got to blame Trump. Oh my gosh. And people bought into a certain degree of that. But in hindsight now, just comparing the 4 years of Trump, 4 years of Biden, it's like, at least the people we talked to, they all preferred get rid of Biden. We can't stand that guy. And that echoes what we kind of talked to with Ford Fisher. He's at the encampments. He's gone to Columbia and some of the other ones with news to share, and the rage on both sides. It's like the young kids with their Palestine and Hamas and their flags and their head wraps and stuff. They loathe him. Like there's no campus energy for hating Trump. There's no energy at the RFK event to hate Trump. It's all directed at Biden. I guess would to be that way, Blake? Are you surprised that it's as prominent? It's so obvious this was an installed puppet leader of a regime designed to intentionally bring the standard of life, the quality of living in America down. Like he's working for people that are not the residents and the voters of America. He's universally despised, from his daughter to the Secret Service getting bit by his dog to, anybody. Inflation also seemed to be the number one issue people were so angry with yesterday. So what say you? Does that surprise you that over time people have calmed down on the Trump hatred a little bit, and they like that so much of it is directed at Joe Biden at this time?
Yeah, it was a little surprising, maybe. I guess I didn't really think of it or have any expectations of it, but I would have thought that it would have been, just pro RFK and against, either candidate. But I didn't pick up any negative towards Trump at all. But yeah, Biden was like just universally the most hated figure when his name was mentioned, on stage or whatever. The whole crowd is booing, crazy. And yeah, all the people that wanted to vote. So strategically, you would think if you wanted to, vote one of those three candidates off, you would get rid of your strongest competition, which would be Trump. But they all just mentioned Biden. There was like instant, no, he's got to go. There's one thing we can agree on. He's got to go. And at least that we could live with that outcome, I think, too. There's issues, of course. People are not going to like all the, the standpoints and the issues from RFK or from Trump. But I think, people could live with either of those candidates, but nobody's excited about another 4 years of Biden. We universally have not liked this term, and we know this is a dead end, and it's only going to get worse, and it has to stop, whether it's Trump, RFK Jr., Cornel West. I mean, I would take Marianne Williamson, just anybody but Biden at this point. So he is, and it's wild. Even at the campuses, he's genocide Joe, what have you. So I don't know where he's going to get his support from. I guess maybe they're just banking on these all these illegal aliens invading the border. Maybe they're going to give them voting rights and hope that they can do it, and then major ballot harvesting, and then no oversight, and just 2 weeks of mail-in balloting. Then they're going to count ballots in the middle of the night. Some kind of shenanigans. I don't know how they're going to try to push this corpse over the finish line again. They somehow got away with it in 2020, but I don't know if they can do the same thing in 2024. So hopefully this is people have had this wake-up call, and we're just universally against Joe Biden and a radical Democrat party. So Brian, I think Brian froze. All right, we'll see if we can get it back on. Unless I'm frozen, I don't know. Oh, okay. Sorry, Brian. He went offline. But it was a great event, and to see that. And sometimes you don't know until you actually start speaking with people. It's one thing, being in your own little bubble in Twitter land, and seeing certain people have the same opinions, but to actually meet them in person and get their perspective live is another matter. So good to see. And even a lot of the comedians were saying, sorry, am I getting a phone call from Brian? We're live. Hey, Brian, I think I'm on the air. So what's going on? Yeah. Ooh, wow. Okay, I'll report that. I'm probably going to cut the show early, but it was good to sound off a little bit. So, okay, well, sorry about that. Well, maybe we'll have to, yeah. No, here, I'll put you on speaker here.
All right.
Okay, give the announcement.
Okay. So I'm back, everybody. I'm on speakerphone calling in while doing the show, hosting the show. Heard a large boom to the point that the woman and the dog walking past the house at the time stopped and looked over at something, and the internet instantaneously went off. So I don't know what's occurring. I'm going to see if I can jump back in on the Wi-Fi, if I can get set up. It looks like it might let me, but if it won't, there's just a couple of points I wanted to kind of highlight and roll over with you. It does. By the way, here's an update. It looks like Restream is putting everything together. Hold on now.
Ooh,
might be able to jump back in. I see the screen. All right, hold on.
Nobody feed.
This is good.
Okay.
Okay, I see you.
Okay, looks like you're coming in. You're in the studio.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Blake, tell people where to follow the New American Media while I log in here.
Oh, there's a lot of different places, but yes, Twitter X, it would be American_media_. And he's got plenty of Facebook groups and Telegram groups and Odyssey and Rumble and Spotify and a lot of different places. Okay. Well, there you go, Brian. You're
All
back.
right, let me end the Telegram call.
It was a great event, and to see that. And sometimes you don't know.
Perfect.
Back somewhere, but okay. Well, let's see.
All right, I think we're back. You can hear me again, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you
Your
so much.
internet's, it's kind of half-assed. Looks like it's on 2G, but we'll have to make do.
Yeah, I don't love what's going on. I got an issue. New equipment that was supposed to be better, and it's worse. So go figure. Now I gotta internet providers, right? Anyway, okay. Let me this article to do the who, what, where, when, why, and I think this article does a really nice job of just hitting you with the key points. I won't read everything, but I will skim where, when, why, and then we can maybe Blake thoughts from this piece in what is this? The Tennessean? Yeah, Tennessean.com. Vivian Jones. I don't recognize her from yesterday. Area. So, yeah, that's where the press was. Okay, so here we go. 4 hours after an unconventional comedy show campaign stop in Nashville was set to begin, independent political candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. arrived on the stage to deliver 2 drunk Irishmen and a penguin. Sorry to ruin that one for you. Okay, Kennedy arrived to the bizarre campaign stop, she says. Bizarre. I don't know that it was bizarre. It was unconventional. I'll give it that. Kennedy arrived 2 minutes before 11 p.m. Yeah, this did drag on. The comics were asked to stall and do crowd work, and I know we said do 20, but can you try to do 45? Like, we're trying to stall. But it went.
There were 2 delays. RFK
several.
did he had an issue that he was tied up in Florida for a while, longer than he thought. And also, there was rumors that Russell Brand was also on a flight delay. And so, but I mean, everybody got to show up. So nothing, we still got it. We actually got kind of like bonus material, I guess, then.
We did.
In that regard. So it was a long event, but I mean, it was a good time. I guess maybe it was the only unfortunate thing was that they shut the bar down too early because they weren't, prepared for that.
That is true. That is true. Although at those prices, thank you. Oh my God. You get a double bourbon and you're looking at $44 or something. It's like, okay, I can understand a little bit of highway robbery, but this is just stupid. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, it was cool because we got extra show, and I'm always a fan of extra show. The Tennessean article continues here that this event, Blake, when we showed up, I remember hearing, well, this is going to be a real quick one. It's only going to be like an hour and a half. And I'm like, really? How are they going to get so many voices in and out? And like, if you did that 15 minutes each, you wouldn't have time. But yeah, it turned into 3.5 hour night of country and comedy to an event bearing almost no resemblance to a traditional campaign event. At no point during his 12-minute speech, 12 minutes, Blake, that was pretty short, right? Did you feel that was a short amount of time, or just, I mean, we're lucky that he showed up being delayed in Florida and happy to get what we got. 12 minutes seems very, very short, very brief.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, on Trump level, it's not, 45 minutes just nonstop. But no, I think that's fine, especially when it was already late into the night anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that was unacceptable. And it was, it was a night of just kind of fun, more of a party celebration, comedy, country. And that was kind of the main focus. And then, but it was also, it was a non-traditional campaign event, but it was one of probably the best campaign events, probably the best one I've seen.
Yeah, it was different. And I was happy that it was different. I was really happy that there were so many comedians on stage, Blake. There were so many comedians on stage. They were right on. They were speaking up about the vaccine issue, about COVID, about the overreach of government. They were at the forefront calling a lot of these policies out, just like RFK Jr. was calling these policies out. I thought it was really nice in hindsight to see, and this event similar to RFK Jr. events that they had in Detroit and in Los Angeles. And I know Adam Carolla did a comedy set at one of those, and Adam was one of the comics who was most vocally opposed to lockdowns and masking and 6 feet and calling out what Fauci was lying about and all these things. And it just strikes me as how it is that we have at the forefront of our constitutional republic alive. I mean, some people say that our constitutional republic ended the day that they took out Bobby Kennedy's uncle or his dad, that whole family, essentially, that when the CIA seized control in a coup of the United States. It's like, we don't have any representative democracy. We don't have a constitutional republic. We've been a kleptocracy, the managerial class, working for the New World Order, the globalists, whatever you want to say. It sure as shit doesn't feel like anybody at the top gives a damn about the American worker, about the dollar that we spend stretching so that maybe one person can stay home and raise a family and the other could go out and work. And it's like your dollar spends so well that you can have a high quality of life and family life, and you raise your kids and you got a good, strong society. Everything seems to have been on the decline for the past 70, 80 years. So, I really enjoyed who they selected at this event, and I'll give you the list below here in a second. But yeah, at no point, continuing in this article here, at no point during his 12-minute speech did RFK Jr. share his vision for the nation, his values, or ask attendees for their votes. Right here is probably my favorite quote of the night, Blake. I'll get your thoughts on it, but I loved it so much. I instantly, where did I put it out? Maybe on X? I sent it out somewhere. As soon as he said it, I said, I love this. He said, quote, "These comedians have an extraordinary gift for all of us because God wants us to laugh." Kennedy said to applause from the crowd. "They're extraordinary people. They're like priests, high priests of our society, because as low as you go, if someone can make you laugh, they can bring you out of it." You have any thoughts on that comment right there? Because God wants us to laugh. Blake, I thought that was the best line of the night, because there's days, there's weeks, there's months, there's periods of my life where, just trying to understand what really matters. And at the end of the day, a good laugh has always been my favorite thing on earth. If there's one thing God theoretically loves, is a good laugh. I love that line.
Yeah, no, it's actually very healthy for you. Like physically, anything. It's like laughter, as they say, is the best medicine. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes these great comedians just have a way of putting things, to evoke that response in people for the positive. So it was great to see. Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Absolutely. Continuing here, Kennedy planned to go on the show. He planned to open the show on Wednesday. Okay, I didn't know he was set to open, but yeah, delay in Florida by a grave medical emergency in his family. His nephew Michael Hines has cerebral palsy, has been in the hospital this week. Comedian Mike Binder, he did a good job as well. He said he's going to be here, but he's going to be late. They were about 30 minutes behind schedule. So line wrapped around Ryman and down the block on Fifth Avenue an hour before the event was set to begin. Most seats of the 2,300 seat venue were full at the beginning of the event, but the crowd dwindled after an intermission was announced more than 150 minutes into the program. Tickets between $24 and $47, and then an after party was between $500 and $1,000 if you wanted to go to that. She says balcony seats were at least a third empty when Kennedy's running mate Nicole Shanahan walked out on stage at 10:55 p.m. to deliver a halting string of jokes, flinging oversized index cards onto stage. Blake, I don't know if you have a lot of knowledge of Nicole Shanahan or any experience watching her. Did you have any thoughts from RFK Jr.'s, any thoughts on his vice presidential pick after yesterday?
Well, she seems like, a likable lady. I enjoy, she just wasn't out there that long. as well, and she had some jokes that they had written. They were on index cards, and that was kind of funny to see her deliver her lines and then fling the cards around. So
yeah, I enjoyed that too. On the same week that we had the Tom Brady roast, the famous Tom Brady roast, did you watch it yet?
I have not. It's been on my radar. It's coming soon. I will make an effort. I've been really getting into the NBA playoff basketball. But once
with the
that's kind of
Timberwolves
dwindles, then I will have more time for the get caught up on the Netflix.
And by the way, congratulations on your Timberwolves being alive, because my Cavaliers were just eliminated, unfortunately, by the Boston Celtics. They gave it a good run, but we got some injuries, and it's not our year. We'll see if LeBron comes back next year and wins us yet another championship. But I digress. Yeah, but it was just interesting on the same week that Tom Brady's roast came out. Even Nicole Shanahan, it was with the joke, with the note cards and flicking them out all across the stage. It gave that appearance. It gave that cartoonish, comedic vibe to the whole night. Hey, I got another one-liner zinger here. Hey-o! And I really liked Steve Burns. I liked when he had that back and forth with the rim shot going on with the drummer. They had a band on stage.
Right.
Oh, that Steve Burns was great, and he did an excellent Donald Trump impression. Were you familiar with him before you'd ever seen him?
I don't know. I think I might have seen something about it, but yeah, he was very talented guy. Yeah, they all were. Even the openers, everybody was, and it was good comedy. It was like classic. It can be crude, it can be over the top. Like it was, we got what we wanted, right? That's what you kind of want to see when you go see a comic. It depends. It's not going to be something that's made for TV per se. So it's going to be edgy and funny, and it was great. And it would be an interesting contrast, because if the Democrats had a lineup of comedians, how lame would that be? And how much
could
would
you imagine a lineup full of Democrat comedians? Every topic is off limits.
Yeah.
It would be like watching Jimmy Kimmel, how painfully unfunny Stephen Colbert is. These guys are the least funny people on TV. When you can't joke about what people are really thinking and really saying, and you have to just push crap talking points all day. I mean, it's an undoable job to do the Jimmy Kimmel show or to do Colbert. But my God, could you imagine how unfunny a Democrat lineup of comedians would be? By the way, his name is Steve Byrne. I added an S because I went to school with the guy named, but it's Byrne. He was great. Yeah, and he told a joke that annoyed a couple people. He goes, if you didn't like that one, you're gonna really hate the next 5. Got into the Israel thing. And it's needed, because it's like everyone's thinking about this shit. Everybody's talking about it. It's just a matter of who's gonna say some stuff about it. Eminem has a song like that. What's his lyric about? Just because I'm saying it, thinking what I'm saying, just because I'm saying it. Maybe it's in My Name Is, but he sings about just like, you're all thinking the same stuff too. I just got the balls to say it in front of y'all, and I ain't got to be false or sugar-coated at all. I just get on the mic and spit it, and whether you like to admit it, air it, I just shit it better than 90% of you rappers out there. And you wonder how kids eat up these albums like Valiums. It's funny. Yeah. So I loved having comedians as a part of this. And the comedians that were selected, we had Dave Landau, Jim Brewer, Trey Stewart, Jeff Dye, Mike Binder, Kaylee Bishop, country artist Kaylee Bishop. This article continues here. While there was much enthusiasm for Kennedy from the Nashville crowd, during a handful of acts, audience members in the lower level shouted "F you" and walked out. Could you imagine F you being out of an event? Did you notice that in real time? Like, that wasn't.
I mean, I guess I didn't notice they walked out. I think there was one point where I did see maybe like a half a dozen people, maybe like 3 couples that seemed to be storming out. And I can't remember what was said. I don't remember if it was against Biden or what have you. But I mean, they have no sense of humor about that stuff. They take themselves just way too seriously. So I don't know what that was all about or get all the details. But apparently, they're highlighting this out of this article.
Yeah, well, controversy gets clicks, I guess. She continues, comedians poked fun at both mainstream party presidential candidates, calling President Joe Biden a corpse attached to a car battery. and mocking former President Donald Trump's campaign merch, saying that he's turning the White House into a fucking that's kind of funny. Jokes also ridiculed transgender people and mocked coronavirus vaccines and gun safety. Oh, touching the third rails of the world. How dare you go against the party?
Right.
Like, yes, it's comedy act. Russell Brand hurled criticism at the hubris and grandiosity of legacy media organizations. Yes, thank you, Russell. You too are not a fan of the old American media or the old global media, as it were, since he's a Brit, right? He's from jolly old England. Russell Brand hurled criticism over legacy media organizations attacking the news outlets' coverage of Kennedy as shamelessly biased, calling out certain outlets by name, to at least one call of, oh my God, Blake, wait a minute. I made this article. I'm reading this in real time. I'm like, wait a minute. I yelled this and I didn't know I yelled it until it was out.
What? Really?
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just read this sentence again. Sorry. This is like an inception moment. I didn't realize I was a part of this. Brand hurled criticism at the hubris and grandiosity of legacy media organizations. Okay. Obviously, it's got me fired up because I started the new American media because I hate the old American media. Attacking news outlets' coverage of Kennedy as shamelessly biased, calling out certain outlets by name to at least one call of fuck 'em from the crowd. Okay, that was me. Whatever the way he was saying what he was saying about the lying legacy media, I blurted out fuck 'em. Like I was on the last row, and whoever was writing this was close enough to have heard it, or I was loud. Who knows? That's hilarious.
Well, it could have been because the media were all stuffed like in the very top row. Well, I took this picture right behind me. Well, you can see the band. There's RFK there.
Yeah,
that's from our zoomed in from the top, but that was kind of the media row. Is that last row back there? So yeah, she was probably sitting off to our right somewhere. That would have been you.
And then like I said, I didn't know that. And by the way, let's be clear. When I called out "fuck 'em," that wasn't at Russell Brand. That wasn't about RFK Jr. That was about the lying legacy media. Because fuck 'em. That's why. That's Goodwill Hunting. I chose the wrench. Why? Because fuck him. That's why. That's why. Okay. I'm sorry. That's just hilarious. That I ended up in there. Anyway, right. Brand also asserted without evidence. Oh, this is a weirdly written article by a woke lady at the Tennessean. You can tell by how Brand asserted without evidence that legacy media has got state support, big pharma behind them, and that the CIA have always been deeply embedded. I'm sorry, author. Blake, she's saying that there was no evidence that legacy media has state support, big pharma behind them, and the CIA has always been deeply embedded. It's almost like there's a mass media campaign against RFK Jr. Is any of that without evidence? I feel like there's the most evidence ever. Is this lady intentionally gaslighting us with this article, or does she really believe that there's no evidence about this? It's the most obvious thing in the world what the legacy media is, and probably always has been, a talking piece for the corrupt state.
Yeah, I don't expect her to admit that or acknowledge that. But yeah, a lot of these big outlets have been infiltrated. And maybe it's not the Tennessean, but it's certainly, New York Times, Washington Post, the high levels, Wall Street Journal. Yeah, they have people that are, especially on these cable networks too. A lot of the big people are almost certainly compromised to a degree. And the news is scripted, and they take a ton of money from these, from big pharma. And they're sponsored by Pfizer. Yes, it's
brought to you by Pfizer. Exactly.
Yep.
Well, speaking of money, let's plow through the rest of this here because it's good insight. DNC buys Nashville billboards ahead of the event. So ahead of the event on Wednesday, the DNC bought 8 billboards across Nashville attacking Kennedy as a spoiler for Donald Trump. Look at that. The DNC is using their funds to go after RFK Jr. Part of a spoiler for Donald Trump, part of a DNC effort in several states attacking Kennedy as he gains traction in polls. RFK Jr. was recruited to run by MAGA Republicans I love these people that use the phrase MAGA Republicans like it's a slur. It's so stupid. Anyway, RFK Jr. was recruited to run by MAGA Republicans. His campaign is propped up by Trump's largest donor, and both his campaign staffer and head of his super PAC have said his candidacy will help Donald Trump. DNC senior spokeswoman Hannah Moldavan said in a statement, RFK Jr. has no problem rubbing elbows with people like Russell Brand, a conspiracy theorist who's been accused by multiple women of sexual assault. By the way, if we're going to talk about accusations.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You know, like the slander, the slurs, the talking points, it's very strong in this article for sure. A conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand, who's been multiple, going to keep reminding voters who RFK Jr. really is, a spoiler for Donald Trump. Recent polling has found that support for Kennedy draws about equally from both Biden and Trump. Blake, I call BS on that. I don't think in any universe recent polling shows that RFK Jr. is going to draw equally from Biden and Trump. I don't think a single person that's stuck with Trump this long is considering a third-party option. Not good or bad toward RFK Jr. It's just nobody's ever been attacked. Nobody has ever been attacked in their political position like Donald Trump has. And if they've rode with him this long, they're not considering a third option. But once again, like we said during our Man on the Street segment, hopefully we can put that out soon. Everybody there without hesitation would vote Joe Biden off that island instantly. They cannot stand him. So I guess people that would have an option to vote for Biden or Trump only, they're not voting Biden. So, I mean, is it hurting Biden? Is it helping Trump? Or is it just, these are not DNC votes anyway, because these people can't stand the DNC and Joe Biden. So what say you if you were guessing, Blake, as far as taking votes away? I don't think these are votes that could be considered DNC Biden votes in the first place. Would you agree or disagree with that point?
Repeat that last part, that this is not taken from Biden.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a little convoluted. I'm working like three thoughts in at once. What I'm asking is, you know, they're saying, oh, RFK Jr., he's a conspiracy theorist plant. There's no evidence. And he's a MAGA Republican donor, something, checks notes. He's just put there to take votes away from Biden. But based on the results, these people loathe, L-O-A-T-H-E, loathe Joe Biden. And they would never vote for him under any circumstance. So these are not votes that are disappearing from Biden. They're votes Biden never had in the first place. So I don't know. I mean, if you were, how would you sum up? Are these votes coming away is RFK taking votes away from the DNC at Biden's expense?
Yeah, I would say so. That's definitely going to be causing a rift, especially for, you know, the people that are sort of classical liberals and old school Democrats are going to have far more in common with RFK Jr. than they would with Biden. I don't think that this is going to Trump people that voted for him in 2016 are going to vote for RFK. I think, you know, it may be split on whether they, you know, like him or not, or respect him or not. But no, there's a universal loathing for, you know, the Biden and the radical Democrats. This monstrosity that we've become.
The monstrosity that radical Democrats have become have pushed so many people out of that party. Yeah, I mean, how many times in the past 10, 20 years have you heard, I'm a classical liberal. You know, I used to be Democrat, but I just can't support their insane policy on chopping body parts off of children. You know, you wouldn't give a 5-year-old a face tattoo, but you'll pump him full of hormones, destroy his sex organs, and start slicing and dicing like it's a Frankenstein project. Like, if you're not going to give a 5-year-old a teardrop tattoo, you kind of don't chop his dick off. That's usually a pretty solid thing. It's like, no, you can't let a kid get. Yeah, but the San Francisco 49ers are his favorite football team. That's cool if that's his football team, but you can't put a 49ers tattoo on your forehead at 5 years old. He's not old enough to make that decision. That's a lifetime of regret potentially. Wait till he's an adult to figure that out. Democrats didn't get the memo. So yeah, I mean, they've pushed so many people away. But yeah, let me wrap up this part here, and then we can just kind of in general.
Yeah, from the conspiracy theorist at the Tennessean, right?
Yeah.
He wants us
But
to
this
believe
part's
that,
important here, if we can believe what's being written. Kennedy says he will qualify for the June debate. And by the way, we're May 16 right now. Kennedy's appearance in Nashville came on the heels of announcements earlier Wednesday that both Biden and Trump agreed to 2 presidential debates, leaving Kennedy off the debate stage. What do you say about that? What are your thoughts there? I mean, I guess the Republicans and Democrats would have nothing to gain by adding somebody that could come in and steal their thunder. I mean, Republicans and Democrats are 2 private parties. That's all they are. They're 2 private groups. They can run them how they want. I guess, are you surprised they left RFK Jr. off? Do you think he should be on, even though there's no benefit for Republican or Democrat to do so?
Well, yes. So as far as I know, in 1992, Ross Perot came in as a very strong third party and actually had a very good chance to win president. And he was, going up against, George Bush and, rising star Bill Clinton, held his own. But I think that really scared the establishment. As far as I know, the last time that a third party has been on the debate stage with the big 2 parties. But after that, I going from memory, they changed the rules and made it much more difficult for a third party to get up there. So they'd like to have this cornered just between, the Republican and the Democrat. Unfortunately, I think the strongest third party candidate, whoever that is, out of the multiple parties that are out there, we're Libertarian, Green Party, or Constitutional Party, or Independents. I think that whoever's the strongest one should be allowed on this stage and just give America a third, it's an option just even to hear a different perspective on things. And Kennedy, he's kind of like American royalty. This is, the family, and both his dad and his uncle were assassinated, most likely by the deep state. So, and he does have some interesting things to say, and not me or Brian or even a lot of the comedians that were up on stage are, fully endorsing all of his opinions, but they, what a lot of us all appreciate is that he's willing to, hear perspective and change his mind, and he has. Changed his mind on a few of these issues, which is great to see that he's actually listening to the people.
So I think recently Kennedy was saying that you can have an abortion up to whenever and after birth, whatever it was. It was like abortions at no restrictions. And he instantly changed his position on that. He's like, I don't think that came out correctly. Let me restate that. He did reverse course instantly, but the instant punditry with which we live in today, Blake. I mean, you saw a couple of things. You heard, well, he lost every single Republican voter with that one. Every single one. And then you also heard people saying, well, let's give him credit. He's adapting. Got some more opinions, got some more information, providing more clarity, and just, no, I don't believe. Don't believe that's how he feels anymore. But yeah, that all Kennedy was in the press for the past couple of weeks. All I was hearing for the past couple of weeks were he cheated on his wife, a brain worm. I think Kennedy even made a joke about a brain worm, didn't he?
Yeah.
He told a joke about a worm in his brain.
He said he would still be able to beat Joe Biden even with 5 brain worms. I don't want to repeat it because I don't remember exactly how it was phrased.
Well, but you're right. I think it was something like that. Even if I had 5 brain worms eating my brain, I could still beat Joe Biden. Yeah, that's a sack of bones or whatever. But yeah, it was just RFK's abortion position scares away all Republican voters and a brain worm. And it's like, but then after yesterday, it's like, you have a lot of comedians out there that have been pushing for COVID and vaccine legitimate information. Personal medical freedom, the option to make your own personal medical choices. And, that is kind of consistent. It's sort of the same issue with abortion, make your own personal medical choice. But of course it's not, because there's another living creature involved, which changes the mathematics in that equation a little bit. But, yesterday probably reset the tone for me a little bit, because Russell Brand and, Jim Brewer, Rob Schneider, these guys, were just getting kicked in the nuts for years for their political opinions on the pandemic, the scamdemic, as I believe it was called on more than one occasion yesterday. And I think it was a good reminder. It's like, this is what RFK Jr. is great at. This is his strength. Just highlighting. And these comedians, it wasn't really just a sales pitch for RFK Jr. Yes, it was said several, and that's why I'm supporting him in the upcoming election, or why you should support him in the. It didn't feel very infomercially. It didn't feel commercially to me. It felt like a stand-up show. It felt like a normal stand-up show. And Blake, let me ask you, we kind of talked off air, like, how much would they charge for a ticket if it was all of these comedians on stage just doing a legitimate comedy show? Like, that would be a high dollar ticket, 3.5 hours of some of the best comics on earth. That's
definitely.
That's a big ticket.
Yeah, so it was great to put that whole lineup together at a campaign event was amazing. So yeah, it was kind of we had to go make that trek.
Yeah, and I love Nashville. I don't want to wait another year to go back to Nashville. I might need to go back again. I like that town. Yeah, it just feels like a different America. It just does. No knock on where I'm currently at, but Nashville feels like a different kind of America. Did you have a favorite comedian? I don't know if you'd ever seen Jeff Dye before. He's on with Patrick Bet-David or Trey Stewart or Dave Landau, Mike Binder. Did you have a favorite? I really liked Steve Burns, Byrne. I liked Steve Byrne, his impression of Donald Trump. I thought that was great. I loved the rim shot gig where he was just. I think Steve Byrne should be hosting a late night show. Like, he's really good. Every time I see him, I think he's kind of like at the top of his game. Was there one comedian last night that you loved more than the others? Anyone that stood out for you particularly?
Well, yeah, the guy you just mentioned was very impressive. Yes, he's in command of the room, very confident, very sharp, and that was interesting. I was not familiar with him. I think I really enjoyed everybody. I was surprised, like, from the opening act. I don't even remember what his name was, but they were all really funny, and they were all very edgy, which was nice to see. It they didn't sanitize it, so they didn't want to offend anybody. So, like I said, it would be a completely different show if it was the Democrats, and even if they got their top talents. Like, what are they going to do? Get like Patton Oswalt or something? But then they're going to have to we're going to have to go through and make sure you don't offend anybody and make sure all the material is, going to be acceptable by everybody. And it would be lame.
And the Patton Oswalds, they are so unfunny because they don't find a single thing from their side to crack a couple jokes about. They have no self-awareness. It's all hubris, and it's also venomous. It's also malicious, bitter, vitriolic, bitter, acrid, right. Rancid. It's just angry. It's not even funny. It's just watching someone be angry in a place where we're supposed to be laughing, not telling any jokes. No,
the only two leftists that are even remotely funny and still do some good work are classic, Bill Maher and Jon Stewart, who are the only ones that can kind of poke fun at their own party.
Bill Maher,
the rest of them are just
keeps chugging along. He just kind of he feeds enough to the other side to keep him. And that's why I always liked Jay Leno. I always loved the Leno monologues. I guess you were either a Letterman guy or a Leno guy. Were you a Letterman guy, Blake?
I mean, I liked them both, but I mean, politically during their heyday, I would have liked Letterman more than I would have liked Jay Leno, who I saw as more of a right winger. But I still liked them. I still liked the Johnny Carson show. It wasn't that offensive that back then.
Yeah,
it's a lot different. It's a lot more divisive and nasty now.
I always liked Leno because he would hit at both sides. He'd do 6 jokes about the right and he'd do 6 jokes about the left, and it's like fair is fair. I liked that. But yeah, I mean, try watching Jimmy Kimmel. All right, let me get to this real quick. I skipped over this part with Russell Brand. It was a whole paragraph. So this article continues. He performed a short set that focused on attacking legacy media and mocking worldwide compliance with coronavirus mandates and vaccine requirements. Well, yeah, bravo. Quote, this could be an important and interesting moment in your country because this is a rebellious part of your country. No, you're rebels, Brand asked to cheers from the crowd. You don't like being told what to do. You're anti-authoritarian people. Can't believe that made the article. One call, F them from the crowd. That's hilarious, Blake. Okay, let me scroll down here. Kennedy saying he'll qualify for the June debate. So they left him off the debate stage. Biden and Trump announced the agreement to debate without coordination by the Commission on Presidential Debates. Okay, so they both announced it without the Commission on Presidential Debates announcing it. They kind of either sidestepped them or kind of jumped the headline. They wanted to get out in front. I don't know which one it was. So CNN is hosting a debate in Atlanta on June 27, a little over a month away, 6 weeks or so. And ABC will host another debate on September 10th. Kennedy asserted in social media post Wednesday that Biden and Trump's debate negotiation excluded him from the debate stage in an effort to avoid discussion of their 8 years of mutual failure. Is that fair, Blake? Would you define President Trump and President Biden as 8 years of mutual failure?
I mean, you could certainly nitpick and criticize anybody, even Trump, for some issues, but I wouldn't lump them both together like there's anything equal. No, I really saw Trump as, making America great again, and things were really going in the right direction until Biden shocked the world and somehow magically won in the middle of the night. And then
all 6 swing states with Trump up hundreds of thousands of votes magically paused until the perfect number was delivered. Oh, how fortunate. How fortunate that I can't believe it, Blake. I played the lottery I played 30 straight Powerballs and I won them all. Everyone. Nothing to see here. By the way, go to cdc.gov/vaccines for information regarding politically related claims of medical issues, and for countervailing views on the 2020 election and every other election. Go to cisa.gov/rumor control, because under duress, I must say such things in order to be allowed to be platformed, Blake. So yeah. Okay, continuing here, the quote continues. Presidents Trump and Biden are colluding to lock America into a head-to-head matchup that 70% of Americans say they do not want, Kennedy wrote in a social media post on Wednesday. They are trying to exclude me from their debate because they are afraid I would win. Keeping viable candidates off the debate stage undermines democracy. So, that's exactly what you would expect him to say. He's trying to goad them into, all right, fine, bring them in. They literally have no incentive. I don't think there's any incentive for the Republicans or Democrats to add a third person into the mix. But yeah, depending on how he's polling, we'll see if he might force his way in like the Kool-Aid man through a brick wall or something. Later Wednesday, Kennedy announced he will meet the criteria to participate in the CNN debate in June. According to CNN's rules, each candidate must be on the ballot in enough states to earn a majority of electoral college votes by June 20. I look forward to holding Presidents Biden and Trump accountable for their records in Atlanta on June 27 to give Americans the debate they deserve, the Kennedy team wrote in a social media post. So, Blake, if you were guessing here, if you're putting money down, you got a free bet on FanDuel, not a sponsor yet. But if you had to bet, would you guess that RFK Jr. will be allowed on the debate stage?
Wow. Well, I mean, if he does meet the requirements, then he should. I just thought that they made it, very difficult for that to actually happen. But if he does it, then they should. And I think he absolutely, deserves it anyway. I think we all do. I think we all want to see that. Of course, not the Republicans or Democrats aren't going to want to, have that because they have really nothing to gain and more to lose on that. So I don't blame them for not, wanting that. It would really throw Biden off too some more, trying to prepare for two different opponents.
Could you
I mean, at least he agreed to it.
Yeah, that's like asking Biden to like pat his stomach or tap his head and rub his stomach, or like, I mean, could you imagine trying to prepare for two people. That guy can't prepare to have a bowl of Cheerios without, well, defecating in his underoos. I wanted to add one more point. Once again, I'm reading this article, but for some reason I'm jumping ahead. And I just wanted to add this one more point here about Nicole Shanahan. So she's a lawyer and an investor, the vice presidential pick. She announced during the event that she would donate $8 million toward getting Kennedy on the ballot in more states. So far, Kennedy is only confirmed on the ballot in how many states, Blake, if you were guessing?
Well, I'm reading it on the article, so I already know what the answer is.
Oh, I thought I pulled it off the main screen. I was trying to keep it on us so that we could repurpose this for extra footage instead of staring at a random screen here. 4 states. Kennedy's only confirmed on 4 states, Blake. That's a shockingly low number when we're May 16 for a November election. That is shockingly low, right?
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. It just seems like they're rigged. They're trying to keep him off.
So he's only confirmed on the ballot in 4 states, though the campaign says it has turned in signatures to qualify in more. It doesn't say how many more. These funds, the $8 million, by the way, where's the $8 million coming from? You always got to follow the money. The funds come at a critical time as the campaign works to gain ballot access, a requirement for participation in debates. So, yeah, Blake, that's what the Tennessean had to say about stuff. And hilariously enough, I made the article. I didn't mean to. I had no plans to interject myself into that event in any way. But when Brand was tearing into legacy media, lying legacy media, the thing that caused me to start my media company, I just blurted out, fuck them. And it must have been at the perfect quiet moment where it echoed. I mean, it popped across the room. I heard it. I almost recoiled from it and went, who said that? Oh, God.
It was the whiskey, Brian.
Huh?
It was all the double whiskey drinks.
No. No, it was a night for
excitable. No, it's all good. That's great.
So it was a night for punchlines and politicking. Punchlines and politics. So, yeah, I guess I really liked the event. I don't know if they have any more of these events scheduled. One was in Detroit, one was in Los Angeles. This was Nashville. I mean, there's plenty of other cities. I don't know if there's any on like a calendar, but if they have another star-studded lineup of comedians.
Oh, it's tough to put something like that together. I mean, yeah, you had to bring Russell Brand in from England and everything. So that was quite a lineup. So it was definitely, we had to make every effort to go see that while we could. So I'm just thankful that we got to go, and thankful for the Kennedy team for having us.
Would you call RFK Jr. a hero for staying in politics despite watching, such a significant portion of his immediate family get offed allegedly by the deep state, who overthrew this country God knows how long ago, and they're driving us right down a fucking toilet? I wouldn't even care if there was a coup. I wouldn't even care if there's people running things behind the scenes in a shady, manipulative way, and they're doing their thing. If the dollar has a strong purchasing power, if the borders make sense, if there's not radical indoctrination in the schools, I wouldn't even care. I don't care. What do I care about a politician for? I don't. They don't, like, Republican, Democrat, two wings of the same dirty bird. And what do I care? Except when the deep state that's going after the whole Kennedy family, the deep state that's going after Trump, they're all supporting Biden and the Democrats. You're like, well, then the Democrat Party is the anti-American party. These are the bad guys. They have to be opposed. And it sure seemed like people in the crowd understood that when we did our Man on the Street. But would you call RFK Jr. a hero, staying involved, knowing that, he's been warned in no uncertain terms, this is what we can do if you start saying and doing things that we don't approve of? And he's like, I'm going to say and do whatever I want. Force your hand in it. Would you call him a hero for staying involved instead of just slipping back into the shadows and hoping they don't get me, not realizing they're coming after all of us? You might as well speak up and try to stop some of this while you still can. Would you call RFK Jr. a hero?
Yeah, I would say it's absolutely heroic that he's put himself involved and gotten involved in this race. And yes, especially after his father and uncle were assassinated. And they're not even giving him Secret Service protection. And he's going even against his own family. So yeah, he knows the risks. And when you put yourself out like that, yeah, they absolutely will come after you and try to destroy you every which way they can. It's a dirty game.
Chuck Schumer said the deep state will get you 5 ways from Sunday or 7 ways from Sunday, right?
6 or 7. I don't remember. One of the ways, yeah.
55 ways from Sunday. Would you also call the comedians like Adam Carolla that did a previous event, I assume that was in Los Angeles, Rob Schneider and Russell Brand and Jim Brewer, some of these guys that have been pushing for medical freedom? Would you also call them heroes?
Absolutely, because they know that it's going to be damaging to their career. It's so much easier to just go along with the establishment narrative. Your career will skyrocket. I mean, yeah, who knows? Rob Schneider could be doing another, big Hollywood movie. Who knows? I mean, but they're still, wildly successful. But I mean, it's interesting to see them, potentially derail like the higher lucrative career, but to actually, do, what the authentic thing is, and to actually, use their talents for good. And Russell Brand putting himself out there, he could be a mega superstar in Hollywood too. But now they're like trying to go after him for alleged sexual misconduct from 20 years ago. I mean, it's pathetic the way that they try to go after these guys.
Yeah, and let's see how much airtime those lying legacy media companies. Fuck them. Let's see how much airtime.
His stand-up comedy show that he did, where he really exposed the whole COVID fraud, that was some spectacular stuff. That was he hadn't really been doing much because I think he had kind of gotten out of the industry, but he came back with a bang and had that great special where he did just really blow up the whole narrative and just mock the shit out of it, and it was hilarious.
And this is still Russell Brand, you're saying?
No, I was saying Jim Brewer on that.
Okay, one. Yeah, Jim Brewer. Yeah. They've all done it to varying degrees. If you didn't see the Rob Schneider special, it's actually really funny. Yeah. A couple years ago, right at the height of COVID, it was a good special. But Netflix wouldn't let you see it. It wasn't repeating the right lines. I was saying they're going after Russell Brand because he's off the reservation on a couple of Democrat crazy talking points. So let's ruin him and make an example out of him so that nobody else ever steps out of line. You must agree with everything we agree, or else we'll make an example out of you. It's like, yeah, you'll go after Russell Brand, but you're not going to go after Joe Biden for the Ashley Biden diary. Really? Okay. Because in that court case, Ashley was saying yeah, that's my diary, and I don't want to have to keep reliving this. It's like, I understand. I can empathize for the victim, but it's like, if the victim could have helped get that person thrown in a cage, maybe we'd be spared all of this trauma of having Joe Biden ruining the country so obviously in front of all of us. So yeah, it was a good night. I also talked to some people that I would probably say they're not very politically astute. They kind of came to see the show. Maybe they're not politically charged. Their political acumen might be less than substantial. I'm trying to find some nice ways to say that. But yeah, I mean, the event drew some atypical, apolitical people. And I guess in any election, that's always a key point, right? You're always looking for that swing voter. Who is this undetermined voter? Who is this? People like you and me, it's like, I knew who I was voting for 5 years ago. I'm reading the tea leaves, guessing who they're going to have up, and I know where I'm voting. But other people are just, they're not paying a lot of attention. And events like this, they do kind of draw attention to other candidates, and they give you a different perspective. A lot of people just followed Fauci. I am the science. No, you are a beagle-destroying asshole, a liar, and a criminal, Lord willing. Keep Rand Paul pushing over there. But you think RFK has the ability to get enough people kind of off the fence, these undecided voters, maybe people that aren't even registered, don't really particularly care one way or another. Do you think comedians like this, events like this, can move the needle?
Yeah, absolutely. In certain ways, yeah, it's a shame that more people aren't paying more attention to what's going on in this toxic political climate. But yeah, but people are probably starting to, feel the pain, and they're also realizing that they've been, lied to by these conspiracy theorists in the legacy media over and over. All of the different hoaxes that have blown up. So, and then of course they're going to the grocery store. That they're seeing how their dollars getting destroyed, and their lives aren't looking. The future is not looking as bright, and they're going to get more involved in that. And they're just going to look for, okay, well, maybe I should pay attention next time. Maybe I'll vote next time because I didn't in 2020 because I just didn't care. But yeah, we shall see. So I mean, this is an interesting event. It just still brings attention to good causes.
Yeah, and I think RFK Jr. is a very important voice. As far as we might not agree with some of the solutions proposed in defense of the environment, but I think we want clean air and clean water. Everybody does. Anyone that tells you otherwise is just disingenuous. They're just using tired talking points about throwing grandma over the cliff. I don't like clean air. I don't like clean water. So, like, nobody says that. Stop. It's just so disingenuous. But but if you can learn those disingenuous key phrases, you can instantly tune out whatever that person has to say next. And you go, oh, you're just an NPC. I know what you're going to say before you say it. You've telegraphed who you are. But yeah, his efforts in trying to work for a clean environment are appreciated, and his efforts for medical freedom definitely appreciated. Still working on trying to get an interview with RFK Jr. We'll see if we can get that set up. We'll keep you posted. And we may or may not be attending something else soon. We'll keep you posted. By the way, I don't know if you saw the update. I don't think I sent it to you, but it is the same guy. Remember you asked, is it the same guy at the Libertarian Party?
Really? You know? Okay.
Oh, his answer? Here, let me tell you. Since we're doing one of these, I was asked, hey, is that the same guy that we know? Getting signed up so that we can go attend the Libertarian presidential convention coming up next weekend in DC. So I said, hey, is this you? And he responded, that's me. But I heard that Brian Engelman guy is a C, and I'm not going to give him any credentials. And I said, you have heard correctly. He said, I send out confirmations in bunches because I get so many in. So look for it tomorrow. So theoretically, we should be confirmed by tomorrow. And now we just got to figure out some logistics. And maybe we'll attend the Libertarian convention where Donald Trump is set to speak. Is RFK speaking? RFK Jr.? I'm
not entirely sure. Because I think that they've kind of, warmed up to some of these candidates. And there might be an invitation. I'm not sure if he's scheduled for that 4-day event. Maybe he probably should be.
Yeah, I just
think
wonder.
It's great that they're having Trump. Yeah,
it's just kind of like, well, why was Trump invited? Why did he accept? It's just like, I love it, but it's like, that's not your party. That's not like what.
But the parties are kind of
Democrat to Republican convention. What is happening?
Well, the parties have blurred a little bit. Like I said, I'm kind of politically homeless. I don't really fit in particular anywhere. Whether it's classic liberal, is it Green Party, is it Libertarian, is it Republican? Because I've been registered as all of these different parties depending on the candidate, or just as a regular independent. So I mean, people have said Donald Trump was more of a liberal Republican, or that I was a delegate for Ron Paul, but he was more of a Libertarian, but he was running as a Republican. So, I voted for Cynthia McKinney as Green Party in 2008. So just kind of, you find the right candidate. I don't want to be just like, oh, this party speaks for me exactly. I'm kind of maybe in between. I don't know. Where do I fit in? Independent, Libertarian, Green Party, somewhere in, but I'll just try to find whoever the best candidate is and support them, whoever they are. But it's good that we have, some options. So it's refreshing to have a Kennedy here as well as Trump. And I think we all kind of agree we could probably live with one of those. We definitely don't want Biden.
that was the universal energy, you know, and it's sometimes like, well, we could go to an event, but why? I don't know what's it takes time. It takes travel time. It takes production time. It takes mental strategy and time and focus, and then it's editing, and then it's expenses, and it's like, well, what's the point of doing these events where we go out to see what's happening and get a feel for the zeitgeist, right? I think going to this event made it so obvious that Biden is loathed universally. There's never been a more hated figure in politics. I mean, when they started chanting F Joe Biden at the NASCAR thing, which is perfect, by the way, which was friggin' perfect, because that was the lying legacy media trying to tell you, oh, look, they're saying let's go Brandon. Oh, they are? Because I hear fuck Joe Biden. But if you like the gaslighting from the corruptocrats, from the globalists, from the deep state Democrats, I'm telling you, the gaslighting is unlike anything I've ever seen. Alexander Solzhenitsyn, he's quoted a million times by Jordan Peterson in his lectures. And I believe it was him that they attributed the quote to. I think he was in Soviet Russia, and it was just all sorts of abuse and stuff. And he talked about the government. He said, they were lying. We knew they were lying. They knew that we knew that they were lying. And yet they continued to lie. So, you know, I mean, maybe some of this stuff has always been like this, but I do certainly appreciate the fact that we have the internet and we can kind of we can counterbalance this, Blake. I think the New American Media were able to stop a lot of bad narratives dead in their tracks, whereas in the past, some of these bad narratives and headlines would continue, right? That's probably the difference now. At like, I don't know if we're peak internet, but it's everywhere. It's omnipresent. It is instant reaction from everyone, and the internet soldiers out there, people just clacking away on their laptops or their tablets or their cell phones. I mean, we're calling out lies and manipulation like never before. There's probably never been a worse time to be a media puppet, a sock puppet propagandist, right?
Yeah, in certain ways. I mean, you could still. A lot of these people have run from like Twitter X, which is mostly a platform of free speech everywhere, and kind of the great equalizer. But a lot of these leftists have left to go to Threads, the little safe spaces. You can't get away with much of this stuff on Facebook or Instagram. Twitter is one of the and Rumble. So YouTube is obviously compromised as well. So we're still finding the spots, and Twitter X is still as popular as can be. So that's good. There is a chance. And yes, when we can, disseminate the news in real time almost, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than, back in the day, trying to wait for the news to cover it or waiting till they write the newspapers the next morning and we'll find out what happened.
Yeah.
Now it's all up to the nanosecond.
You wake up and you go to your front yard and get a newspaper telling you about yesterday's news. And it's like, how about I click it instantly and I can react and go, hold on a second. Remember when you said this? And I can attach a clip of that instantaneously. It's such a better way to have a free flowing discourse of news and information, as opposed to what it had turned into, which was just absorbing lies and manipulation. Okay, we are here on the Agree to Disagree show. That was our coverage of the RFK Jr. event in Nashville yesterday. Just want to buzz through a couple of headlines. I don't know if Blake has a couple, but I'll just scroll through our X feed. Make sure you're following Blake. He's at TV's Blake Walley on X. And the New American Media is at American_media_. Our homepage is thenewamericanmedia.com. On the right-hand side, you can get to our X feed and our Facebook page, so do so. And if you like what we're doing and want to support independent journalism and us going to more cities to cover more events, to get more footage, to tell you what's really happening, you can go to patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia to buy us a cup of coffee or to try to fully fund our efforts. And if you like what Blake is doing, Blake is the nextlevelnews.com. Make sure you're following him there. And Cash App, send him some cash. He's Blake W99. Thank you so much. Okay, so this one here,
that rescue team to your house, Brian. Look like you're like being held hostage in the basement or something.
Maybe I am. Yeah, I know. It's because the shadows.
You're one of the Saw movies or something. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. I was getting like I have the blinds in the window and I got the sun coming in. Normally we do the shows from 3 to 5, so I'm normally not broadcasting at 7:26. So my ring light is not enough to handle the setting sun over there in the west. But I digress. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I know. I'm dying for the right lighting and the proper green screen behind me. But one of these days, Blake, one of these days. Okay, some of the stories I got here. Colin Rugg reporting. New York BLM leader Hawk Newsom has now been arrested after threatening to assault an NYPD officer at a Bronx criminal court. There he is in that cop's face. Looks like he touched him there for sure, head to head perhaps. Newsom was attending the hearing of an NYPD sergeant who threw a cooler at a man on a scooter during a drug bust. So here's the video of the police. It killed the guy. So the guy's getting away there, blasts him. He goes down. See, there's the cooler, hits the guy, fleeing, and then he wipes out on his motorcycle and dies. So, maybe a couple lessons. Don't deal drugs and don't run from the cops. There's a couple lessons there, but Hawk Newsom wanted to get in their face and threaten them, so now he's been arrested. This BLM leader in New York. Newsom co-founded BLM of Greater New York and threatened to start riots in 2021. The hearing he was attending was for New York Police Department Sergeant Eric Duran, who was charged with second-degree manslaughter for this. He's accused of killing Eric Dupre with a cooler, the man who tried fleeing the scene on a scooter after he was caught dealing drugs. Blake, any thoughts on this one?
This is news to me, so I don't know what to make of this. Interesting. I kind of need a little bit more context, but probably generally not a good idea to threaten to assault a police officer.
Yeah, we're watching that video of the guy wiping out on a motorcycle, going the opposite direction, down a sidewalk, by the way, endangering all the pedestrians as well. So, once again, are you allowed to police or are you not? But this guy's been charged with second-degree murder. So there we go. Something to keep your eyes peeled on. We're watching the Summer of Love 2.0. We'll see what becomes the powder keg. Another one from Colin Rugg here. This one's interesting. I don't know if you follow Scott Libido. He's an interesting guy. Artist Scott Libido unveiled his Dicks of Hazzard in New York City. Here's the video. Dicks of Hazzard, featuring the faces of Alvin Bragg, Judge Engeron, Judge Merchan, and Jack Smith on penis balloons. The stunt was pulled off outside the courthouse in New York City. Libido says he spent $1,500 on the stunt. Look at all those dicks. $1,500 on the stunt, which took him 2 days to complete. These guys are a bunch of useless dicks, he said. That's kind of funny, huh?
It's a good stunt.
I guess that looks like a lot of, we were just in Nashville. That's got to look like a lot of the bachelorette parties. Like Nashville has turned into one of the bachelorette headquarters of the universe. So probably any single given day, you're going to see a bunch of people in matching shirts and, maybe some Judge N.
Yeah, you can reuse them a few times. It's a lot. It's quite an investment.
Could you imagine just sitting in traffic and this is floating past you? That's creepy stuff. Just like that Engeron guy. Man, these guys are creeps. Yeah, I did not have balloon dicks on my 2024 bingo card. Agreed. But it's fun to see some people standing up and calling out what's happening here. I did repost this also from Time Capsule Tales. Pretty good thread. 9 of the biggest historical conspiracy theories. Of course, number 1 is JFK. Was it Lee Harvey Oswald or other? You got the moon landing. Buzz Aldrin punching the conspiracy theorist. Princess Di's death not being an accident. Maybe it was intentional. 9/11. inside job, according to this theory here. Roswell found aliens, Area 51. Reptilian humanoids control the government. I mean, well, there's that. Fan conspiracy, proposing that the years 614 and 911 did not actually exist or happen, meaning that we currently live in 1726, not 2024. That's pretty interesting. And they said that 297 missing years are made up to explain Otto III's claim over the Holy Roman Empire. This one, that HIT something else, I can't say it or else the algorithm will not let this be shown, that he did not off himself and that he escaped Berlin and went, where'd he go? Argentina? Somewhere South America?
Argentina or Antarctica, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's
Maybe
right.
both.
And then also, of course, that the Earth is flat. So, yeah, that's a pretty fun post to tear through. Blake, any of those that are blatantly silly, or are you kind of in the realm of like all of those topics are open to discussion?
You'll have to go for the top again. I think there was one or two I don't think I was familiar with.
Yeah, I think the missing years, I was unfamiliar with missing years. But
yeah, that's wild. I've heard
the thing that I did find, though, I found it interesting that we used to have 13 months. And I
think we should go back to that.
And it was set up on a 28-day cycle, like the menstrual, and it kind of made.
No, it's the lunar cycle, right? The moon. If all of the months were 28 days, then we'd have the full moon on the exact same day every day of the month, which I think would be great. I think that'd be awesome. It's like we always know the full moon will be on the 15th or the whatever, the first, whatever we want to decide it is, and then we'd have like the one extra leap year day. But yeah, no, I think that it makes a lot more sense. The old calendar, the old Julian calendar, and then they switched to the Gregorian, and they switched it up, but it doesn't make sense. Now we have all these 12 odd months where they're not all even, whether the 30, 31 days. It doesn't make much sense. So it's a lot more confusing to follow.
Yeah. Well, I'm traditionally conservative. I don't like to change things just for the sake of changing things. Even daylight savings.
I was like, if it's better,
it's already here. I don't know. I'm already used to it. It throws me off, but I'm used to it. But I don't know. I'd be open to consider.
Got to embrace change if it makes sense. I don't care about tradition unless it's makes sense.
Okay, fair enough. Want to talk about this? This is breaking news here. Important news. An assassination attempt on Irish Republican European MEP candidate Malachi Stevenson. Man is in custody. Let's hear what they have to say here, because this is the second in as many days of potential hit jobs.
I can't hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear the
negative.
Okay, so you're saying someone arrived banging on the door.
No audio.
And he said that he was there to off this guy.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Assassination attempt.
But he's in custody. That's good. So that's maybe the greater context there, Blake. Are you able to hear what he's saying now?
Nope, I can't hear a single thing. Nope.
Okay, yeah, that's weird that you can't hear that. I can hear it. I think the viewers can listen to it. But he was talking about the Slovakian leader who was shot as well. Here, let me play this last clip. I'll repeat. Because the Slovakian leader opposed the European Union agenda, he was targeted for assassination.
Yeah, they usually are. Nigel Farage has survived a couple of attempts as well.
Yeah, and that they're going to pay a heavy price for all this stuff that's happening. So Pierre Corey is saying, was the assassination on Slovakian Prime Minister today, this was 22 hours ago, an attempt to send a message to all political leaders who oppose the World Health Organization air quote treaty, because we will not recognize it. Let it be known, nobody's going to negotiate a World Health Organization treaty on my behalf, ever. Okay? Let's just get that clear. That is a line too far. I am in charge of my medical decisions, not you. Especially some overseas shadowy organization funded from God knows who with intents of God knows what. No, thank you. So it wasn't a message sent to political leaders who oppose the WHO treaty and Big Pharma. Strikes me as similar to the American Board of Internal Medicine and various state medical boards sending a message to all potentially dissident doctors by revoking the certifications and licenses of people like me, Dr. Paul Merrick, Peter McCullough, and many others. Obviously, losing board certification is nothing compared to losing your life, but let's be clear. They are sending messages to thwart dissidents of all kinds, big or small, political or scientific. Well, I could have played some of this, but I guess you might not be able to hear it, Blake. But I'm not sure. Have you followed the Slovakian Prime Minister and the situation where he's in the hospital, shot several times? It's still kind of vague. It's kind of touch and go with the situation. I'm not getting a lot of. He's still alive. I just don't know how alive and for how long, and will he recover? But at least they didn't initially completely succeed with the plot. But there's been a lot of accusation that this is because this candidate is a candidate that stands up for what everybody feels, everybody wants, and so obviously you got to take this guy out. When a leader speaks, that leader dies. You won't have to follow me, only you can set you free. Name that song. But any thoughts on what's going on here now? Irish political candidate, Slovakian prime minister just got shot. What is going on here? We're talking about RFK Jr. His whole family's been shot. Like, it's just this is beyond stupid.
Yeah, well, it's the New World Order. They're trying to take out the populists that threaten their agenda, keep everybody in line. But we're gonna have to keep fighting. So yeah, it's a disturbing developments. So let's hope for the best.
Agreed. This one here, the man suspected of the assassination attempt on Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico, has been identified as Slovak writer Juraj Cintula, a liberal writer and activist. According to reports, Cintula is 71 years old. He's a well-known writer and a member of the Progressive Party in Slovakia. Yeah, progressives are super violent. They are super violent. Mr. Fico's condition is not looking good. A post to his Facebook account says, the next few hours will determine his fate. So, yeah. Thoughts and prayers over there. It was just brutal to watch. A couple of these videos came out. But yeah, Fico was the new prime minister of Slovakia. He's now in the hospital recovering 4 gunshot wounds. He's predicted a leader. He predicted. Here, I can play this. It's 12. Actually, I'll turn the volume down. I'll just read it. He predicted this. And I'm just waiting for this frustration intensified by Denick or SME or actually, hang on, to turn into the murder of some of the leading government politicians. He knew it. He could feel it. The frustration leading to murder. Blake, I mean, the level of frustration in America is at a fever pitch. Do you have any concerns about the 3 major candidates in this upcoming election? Their safety?
I worry about
withholding private Secret Service detail from RFK Jr. And while we were there getting ready to check in and a crowd was forming, there was a lot of concern about barriers, barricades, entrance, who comes in, are they being checked, this, that, and the other. And we may or may not have interviewed somebody that was giving off some Sic Semper Tyrannis vibes. I was certainly hoping somebody was not going to jump from a balcony theater row and do anything bad yesterday. I had a bit of an uneasy vibe at the event. It was comedy, it was fun, but like their attention to detail on security and knowing that there's no Secret Service protection That was at the forefront of my mind, Blake. Any thoughts on the fact that RFK has that deficiency in protection? Should he have it? Is he polling high enough to get it? And what about the political violence in this country? For 4 years, they keep trying to blame right-wing extremists. They think if they repeat something stupid enough, it's going to happen, or that we're going to believe it. It's not the truth. The true violence in this country is BLM, Antifa, Hamas. Pick your professional agitator group, and it's the same people who have been rioting. They just put on a different hat, a different shirt, hold a different sign, but they're causing the same type of problems in the same type of places, funded by the same type of people. So political violence in general, Blake, how concerned are you?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is this is going to be an unprecedented election. Everything can go. Be prepared for everything. Yeah, it's ridiculous that they won't give them, give RFK Secret Service protection. It's like they want him to get him killed.
Yeah.
They'd love to see Donald Trump either, jailed or killed. So these are dangerous people, and they're cornered rats. So I would expect nothing less. And yeah, it looks like they're making their moves. I wasn't too worried about the RFK security yesterday. I mean, the venue's not that big. Everyone went through a metal detector, got searched. And, but you never know. And I mean, I don't think he's enough of a threat to where they would try to do that. But certainly if he was really looking dangerous for Biden and gonna take too many votes away, of course, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they made some move to try to deter him.
Yeah,
permanently if they have to. They're that desperate and they're that disgusting and nasty. Yeah.
At a certain stage, the main thing you can do and should do would be to ignore them. What is it? First they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they attack you. Yeah, you're right. I think at this stage, it's probably in their political self-interest. The Republicans and Democrats at this point, but let's face it, probably just the Democrats. Just ignore him. You don't want to give him any additional. You don't want to toss any gasoline onto that bonfire. But yeah, if something bad happened to martyr him or potentially martyr him, oh my God. Especially knowing that Biden allowed that to happen while Biden's trying to throw in jail the other political candidate. Are you kidding me? That is pure kangaroo court, banana republic, backward shithole nation behavior 101. Unfortunately, kind of seems like the same CIA assets that have done this across the globe to countless regimes for God knows what reason and personal political gain and financial rewards. They seem to be the ones running the Biden campaign. So it's like, would you put anything past them? I'm concerned about President Trump and his plane. I'm concerned about President Trump getting to the finish line healthy, safely. Biden too, I guess. Same thing for him. But yeah, when you're intentionally, how difficult would it be to give a couple of Secret Service detail to the guy? It's not complicated. You got a person or two. You're polling past 5%. Like you should be forced into doing that. But anyway, yeah, we'll just have to keep our eyes peeled. It's one of our favorite bands in another universe. I played a lot of rock and roll music, and we played as many shows as we could. We teamed up with a band from a couple hours away near I think they're from Miami, Ohio, a couple hours down Route 75 from Bowling Green, where I went to school, and they were called When Words Failed. I love that band. Really good band. Got to find their CD, actually. I don't know where it's at. Blake, do you want 2 CDs? Anyway.
I don't know.
There's a punchline in there.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh, I got you. Right.
Yeah. When words fail. But yeah, when words fail, violence begins. And so, like you said, cornered rats on a sinking ship. Like, I don't know. Let's just pray for the health and safety of these political candidates to get us through. Like, we're supposed to be using our words and making good arguments, and not tolerating the bully tactics of violence. Speaking of violence here, this is an important one. Breaking: Texas Abbott has pardoned Daniel Perry. That's not Daniel Penny. That's what I thought that was at first. Of course, maybe he should get that same sort of treatment. But Daniel Perry was sentenced to 25 years for shooting a BLM rioter in self-defense. I'm glad Governor Abbott stood up to the unjust sentence of a man who just wanted to go home. So I don't know if you are remember this story, but being framed as shooting a BLM rioter in self-defense, and he's just been pardoned by Governor Abbott. Do you think that signals that self-defense is because self-defense has been under attack from Kyle Rittenhouse? Anybody who finds themselves in a bad situation, they don't go after the bad guy, or they don't say, well, that bad guy's actions led to their demise. They go after the good guy who had to use lethal force to defend their own lives. Do you feel like the tide is now turning on self-defense? Because it was looking very grim for a long time there, for the past several years especially. But now it kind of seems a little bit more like, they always say it's better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Do you think that the tide has turned in the nation? Of course, Texas is not like some of these backward blue cities.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It really depends on the state.
Yeah, that is true. But once again, we're calling on you to flee blue cities and flee blue states for your own protection. Greg Abbott said, this is Governor Abbott pardons Daniel Perry following a board recommendation. So he listened to the board. Proclamation granting full pardon to U.S. Army Sergeant Daniel Perry following a unanimous recommendation by the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles. They conducted an exhaustive review of the 2020 incident. Okay, there we go. 4 years ago in July. Among the voluminous files reviewed, they considered information provided by the Travis County District Attorney, full investigative report on Daniel Perry, plus a review of all testimony provided at trial. Texas has one of the strongest stand-your-ground laws of self-defense that cannot be nullified by a jury or a progressive district attorney. I thank the board for its thorough investigation, and I approve their pardon recommendation. Okay, so if that worked out in a good way, that's a good thing. Americans across the country, according to Attorney General Ken Paxton, Americans across the country have been watching this case in Texas and praying for justice. BLM riots terrorized the entire nation in 2020. Our right to self-defense is enshrined in the Constitution. Meanwhile, Soros-backed prosecutors like Jose Garza do not get to pick and choose the rights we have as Americans, and I'm relieved that justice has prevailed. Blake, I mean, that really is a good thing. I guess, places like Nashville, Tennessee, and Austin, Texas, there are some beacons of hope across this country where it kind of feels like it's a bit of a lost cause. It kind of feels like there's no fixing it unless you can get rid of the district attorneys that have gone corrupt. So anyway, I just hope that we can, as a nation, kind of agree upon the fact that self-defense is paramount, and the people who are going after it really need to be voted out. All the Democrat politicians that can't understand the difference between the importance of self-defense and criminal activity, there needs to be a nationwide campaign to figure out a way. Because I voted recently, and I try to be on top of what's going on. And I was pretty unaware of who my district attorney representatives were. And by the time I got there, it was kind of late to do my research, and I regret that. But we're seeing the importance of these district attorneys across the nation. Would you guess now, Blake, that seeing all these political prosecutions of Donald Trump, civil rights violations, election interference, that the corrupt possibility of district attorneys to violate our civil rights has never been more fully on display, and hopefully soon there'll be a way to quickly identify the bad apples and remove them from office immediately? Are you hopeful that we're going to find a way to figure this out?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it depends on if the public is paying attention, which oftentimes they are not. And it's amazing that these prosecutors they're up for sale, and they're getting funded by, radical leftists like George Soros. So they're taking over. We're getting infiltrated by World Economic Forum or special interests that are not pro-America and don't respect the Bill of Rights and Constitution. So Yeah, it's bad news. So yeah, I mean, people should turn against that. Will they? Maybe in time, but at least maybe we'll have different states will do different things, and it's of course we're always going to talk about that and shed some light on it.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, that's all I have. I don't know if you had anything in your stack, if there's anything in particular in the past couple days. We haven't talked in a week or two, but is anything else at the top of your radar that you felt like mentioning as we wrap up today's show?
Nope, I'm good. I'm exhausted. Nope, I'm ready to wrap this up. It was been a nice experience in Nashville, but I am drained. I am ready for a nap, and I'm ready to watch some basketball.
Your Timberwolves on tonight?
They're on in about 40 minutes.
All right. Well, I will be pulling for your Minnesota Timberwolves. Back in the day, I did adopt Minnesota. I got a Twins, a Timberwolves, and a Vikings pennants and some hats. Yeah. Like I was just like, that city's not had a lot of success in their sports teams. I'm gonna pull for them. I'm tired of the fair weather fans. So anyway,
yeah, good luck to your I have all those pennants. They're up on the wall, but
yeah, I gave you all three of those.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I do remember that. That's awesome. Yeah, Blake can vouch for the fact. I'm not kidding. I had Minnesota pennants for some odd reason. Okay, Blake, thank you for joining us today, and thanks for getting us to that fun event, a really good event, mostly a stand-up show. They worked a little bit of their political stuff in, but man, just their medical freedom, like these comedians were pushing. I appreciate them so much. All heroes because they were against all odds, against all propaganda. They stood their ground. Just like in Texas, we have firm stand your ground laws. You got to stand your ground on medical freedom and autonomy. So yeah, thanks for helping make that happen. And we'll try to bring you some more content coming up soon. Maybe a man on the street, fingers crossed. We'll keep it posted once we delve into that footage. And then maybe the Libertarian Party convention. I don't know. But yeah, we'll need a little bit of rest to get caught up for that one. In the meantime, please. Hi, Kenneth B. He's past me bedtime. Oh, is it past your bedtime now? I feel like it's past our bedtime now. Shows are normally at 5 o'clock. Anyway, follow Blake Walley on X. He's at TV's Blake Walley. He is an archivist at his site, thenextlevelnews.com. And his Cash App is what is it again?
99. I think it's Blake W99.
Blake W99. Cash App that guy to support independent journalism. All right. To be continued, I'll let you go, Blake, so you can watch your Timberwolves. We'll talk again very soon. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
All right.
All right, everybody. Take care.
Deuces. And thank you to Kenneth and everybody else in the chat today. Yeah, it was a good event. I'm very happy that I was able to attend. It's always easier to talk ourselves out of doing event coverage. But I'm telling you, like there's such an important dynamic, such a net positive to saying hello, looking someone in their eye, handing them a microphone, asking a few questions, and just getting the zeitgeist, the mood and feeling of the times. So crucial that we do that. Minnesota. Minnesota? Men with sodas? Yeah, there's that actress. So my brother was he delivered pizza, and there was another person who delivered pies over there. It may have been Pizza Hut, Papa John. I kind of forget where, but there was also a coworker, short dude, real short, and he would deliver as well. And they had a nickname for him. They called him Mini Driver, which is one of the best nicknames ever. Mini Driver for a short pizza delivery man. Minnesota, Mini Driver. But yes, follow Blake in all of the places. If you like the New American Media and you do appreciate independent journalism, we're on patreon.com/thenewamericanmedia. You can subscribe and give us $5 a month or $15 a month or $100 a month or $1,000 a month. Yeah, looking at another convention going, oh boy. Okay, we got travel costs, we got food costs, we got entertainment costs, we got hotel costs, we got gasoline, we got this, we got that, we got the other. But look, we're doing what we can to provide you The actual story from the actual people. That's why we went to Occupy LA. It's why we went to the Bundy Ranch. It's why we went to the DNC in 2016, the RNC in 2016. It's why we go to Politicon. It's why we go to NAMM, the music convention. It's why we go to the Conscious Life Expo. We talk with people. We have conversations, and we bring you stuff that you might not get in other places. We love doing what we do, and it's from people like you that help us, because we don't really have we haven't really gone the sponsor route, but did put a couple feelers out recently. Found a couple good products, seeing if some people want to assist with the dissemination of our program. But our program can be found at thenewamericanmedia.com. If everything on social media goes wonky, and wonky in the manner of having social media shut us down, go to thenewamericanmedia.com. We will be there. Yeah, Minnie, never mind, Ken. Never mind. Mini-me. But yes, we will deliver messages of the news through carrier pigeon if we must. TheNewAmericanMedia.com will be the main site for that. On Instagram, we have a page, The New American Media. Go ahead and like that and participate and comment. We love that interaction. On Facebook, our page, The New American Media, and our groups. Search TNAM, and you should find like 30 different groups for all sorts of different issues. TNAM Food and Drink, TNAM Humor, TNAM Preparedness, TNAM's The Agree to Disagree Show. Private groups, all of them. Find them. Of course, on X at American_media_, on Telegram at TNAM and TNAM Chat for The New American Media. Rumble. We need more Rumble subscribers, please. We have 6,000 subscribers, 6,500 something, north of 6,000 subscribers. Past 1 million views, like we 1,400 videos in 13 years on YouTube. Our shows are so heavily censored. I was scrolling through and I think Glenn Beck was just complaining about how YouTube is rigging their distribution and their product on YouTube. Like it's just a trash site. It used to be the beacon of awesomeness, of independent media, of videos. It's just not anymore. So we do have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia, or you can type in Brian Engelman, Engelman. I've left a weird snail trail across the interwebs, I suppose. I put a bunch of videos out over the past decade and a half, I'll tell you. But yeah, subscribe, youtube.com/@thenewamericanmedia, and also Rumble, The New American Media. Hit subscribe. I think we need 100 subscriptions so that we can go live we can already go live, but we need a different plateau so we can stream. Haven't been able to figure out how to go through Restream onto Rumble. But Rumble's a growing platform. We're actually monetized over there. If you let our ad play, it's like tossing a penny into the wishing well. They add up over time. It's like, oh, there's a 2.5-minute ad. It's like, okay, set the phone down, leave your laptop, go brush your teeth, go make some eggs in the other room, check the mail, check in the mail, do something, come back. That was like tossing a penny into the wishing well, and it cost you nothing but 3 minutes of your time. Let the ad play. But yeah, follow us on Rumble, The New American Media, on Spotify, our podcast, The Agree to Disagree Show. Please subscribe to that. We want more viewers in our podcast form. That's an area that we have not specifically prioritized, but we're working on it. And in the revamped relaunch of The Agree to Disagree Show, it's going to play a role. And so we wish to expand on that platform. Find us on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree Show. And finally, on Truth Social, The New American Media, because the old American media has failed you. So, yes, I agree. I concur with Blake. Little exhausted. A little worn out, folks. Just a little worn out. So, I'm going to wrap it up for now. We're going to play you out with our commercial, our advertisement, our show intro. Haven't played this in a while because for Spotify listeners, it's like, you're going to listen to this longer intro. I think it's cool though. It shows us in different places, interviewing several people you may recognize. And so we're going to leave you with that. I think we might do a revamped version of this, maybe a shorter version to incorporate it into our shows. But enjoy this on the way out for today. Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, everybody else in the TNAM universe for joining us today. Special thanks to Blake Walley. Everyone else out there, I appreciate you and I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.